Yes.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining our session today on Thanksgiving. Um, my name is Catherine Durkin Robinson. I'm an end-of-life doula and educator with Anitya Doula Services, located in Chicago. I am available as a doula anywhere in the world, though, thanks to technology. So we're going to talk a little bit today about Thanksgiving and why this annual holiday allows us to practice the art of expressing gratitude and why that's so important, not just at end of life, but while we're living as well. So some of the norms that we're going to talk about, as always, I'm grateful for technology. It allows everybody to kind of come together from all over the world and learn from each other and grow. So I'm just going to ask everybody to be as present and as mindful as possible. If you can, turn off your phones. I will do that as well. And shut down the emails if you can. Kind of, give this your full attention. I know we're talking about some tender topics today. So keep in mind, we come from a variety of different backgrounds. People on this call, people who are watching this video, lots of different cultures, backgrounds, religions, no religions. So this is kind of like a safe space, a judgment-free zone where we can all come together. I'm not going to be recording our conversations, that part of it, but all my sessions, I just like to remind everybody to be present, be mindful, and judgment-free. As always, there will be a Q&A afterwards. Again, I won't be recording that part of it, but if you ever join any of our sessions, I don't hang up until every question's asked. I am often the last person to hang up to make sure that if people want to ask questions, just one-on-one, that you can do that as well. And also keep your microphone muted, and we will go ahead and get started. So what I love about Thanksgiving is that it allows you to think about this past year. It offers a time to reflect. You can reflect over the past year. You can reflect over a lifetime, whatever works best for you. But it's nice to take time out of your schedule every year and reflect on your life. People at end of life do a life review. That's common. But you don't have to be at end of life to do that. And I encourage everyone to do it at least once a year. It can be on Thanksgiving. It can be on New Year's Eve. It can be for some religious holidays that encourage reflection, atonement, making meaningful amends. All of that is kind of combined. And if we do that regularly, we get better at it. And a lot of the things that come up at end of life require some work, require some practice. And this is one of them. Doing a life review, coming to terms with the things we've done we're proud of, things we're not so proud of, and really reflecting on all of it. Today, we're going to focus on gratitude and how that fits into end of life. But before we start, I want you to take a few moments and think about this last year or over the course of a lifetime. And what are you thankful for? You can write that down. You can just kind of think about it and store it in the back of your head, whichever works for you. But I would love for you to take a few moments, think about who you're thankful for, and who do you feel ready to thank? So take a few moments, and then we'll get started. And if you want to keep working on this as we go through, feel free. But we'll go ahead and get started. When people think about end of life and they call me up and they want to talk about it, whether they're just later in life, far from a diagnosis, or maybe they've received a terminal diagnosis and they're coming to terms with that, finally thinking about something they've avoided thinking about for a really long time, and that's end of life and their fears surrounding that process. So we talk about that. And oftentimes the fears people feel about end of life are in three separate categories. One is a fear of physical suffering. They're afraid it's going to hurt, and that's very real. They're also afraid of emotional suffering. There's a lot of anxiety around some emotional suffering and emotional pain that they haven't dealt with in a really long time, if at all. And then there's spiritual suffering. So I often talk to my clients about these three categories and ways to reduce fears in each of those categories. Physical suffering is the easiest to deal with. And so we talk about that. We talk about the benefit of calling on palliative care or hospice care sooner rather than later. And we kind of chat about all the ways that they can help and the care team can get together and provide support so that that person, even if it's uncomfortable, even if there is a little bit of pain involved, it doesn't have to elevate to the level of suffering. And hopefully, if you get hospice on board as soon as possible, we can keep you comfortable throughout the whole process so there's no pain at all. So that's kind of, one of the ways that we tackle our end of life fears is categorizing them and then dealing with each one separately. So that's how we kind of handle and conquer the physical aspect of dying. The emotional part is a little bit trickier. We're not going to talk about spiritual suffering today because that's even trickier, but it's possible. And there's lots of ways that your death doula, your care team, your loved ones, your medical team, everybody can get together and support you so that you reduce that spiritual suffering as well. But today we're going to focus on one aspect of emotional suffering. Emotional suffering is usually around these 5 essential statements that dying people feel the need to make. And these 5 statements can reduce emotional suffering at the end of life. They are, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I love you, thank you, and goodbye. Now, what's great about this knowledge is that we can make 4 of these 5 statements anytime before a diagnosis. We can say, I'm sorry, when we goof up, preferably. We can also dedicate a day a year where we make general, meaningful amends to everyone in our lives. Jews do that with Yom Kippur. Every year, I make a point and a ritual of saying I'm sorry to loved ones. But it doesn't have to be Yom Kippur. And if you're not Jewish, you can come up with another day, another ritual that fits for you and do this. Because again, practice makes better. And the work it takes, the practice it takes to get really good at I'm sorry means the less you do at end of life and the more joy you feel. So I encourage everybody to say they're sorry, to learn how to make meaningful amends. I forgive you. I think that's an important statement to make. Almost all my clients feel the need to say that in some variety or fashion. Again, don't have to wait till end of life to forgive people, even if they're no longer around. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. And so we often talk about the rituals and ways we can forgive others. For my religious clients, this is very important to them. They feel like they are about to embark on a journey, where they will ask their creator for forgiveness. And rightfully so. A lot of them feel like, how can I ask for forgiveness for myself if I'm not willing to forgive others? So I forgive you is a big one. And again, you can do this at any time. I love you is, I don't know, I tell all my clients, say it early and often. And you don't have to be a client for me to say that to either. Sometimes those three little words, I love you, make a huge difference, not only to the person who's receiving it, but for the person that's giving that love as well. But today we're going to focus on thank you. That's what this upcoming holiday is all about, gratitude. So let's focus on that for this session. So what is Thanksgiving? Well, it's different things for different people. Considering our culture, our religion, or ethnic background. The relationship that we have with Thanksgiving also is informed by the kind of upbringing we've had. I know people who come from a tradition where Thanksgiving is a regular holiday and it's a heartbreaker. They have lots and lots of memories about very unhappy, kind of toxic Thanksgiving gatherings with families. And so they don't celebrate it at all. I respect that. But what I'm talking about is a more general understanding of the holiday. The lens through which I see this holiday and the spirit in which this session is given is as an annual meal with loved ones expressing gratitude. So it doesn't have to be anything more than that. If it is, that's great. And you can take some of the traditions that work for you, that serve you, that you maybe experienced growing up, or maybe you've seen other people participate in them and you thought that was pretty good. I'm going to borrow that and incorporate it into my own circle of loved ones. I think that's fine. If there are some religious aspects of Thanksgiving and you connect with those, bring them in as well. But the lens through which I'm seeing Thanksgiving is very simple. It is a way we can gather annually with loved ones and express gratitude. So let's get started. Giving rituals. Rituals do a lot, and I'll kind of get into that in a little bit, but some of the rituals around Thanksgiving can be brought into any celebration, no matter your religious or ethnic background. So this list here that you see in front of you is certainly not a complete list. There are lots of other rituals that you can borrow. Like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about them. But some of the ones that are quite common, I want to talk a little bit about. So recently, in the last several years, more and more loved ones are including a land declaration statement when they have a Thanksgiving meal. A land acknowledgement or land declaration statement can be as simple as, this Thanksgiving, we acknowledge this land is indigenous, and we pledge to respect, restore, and regenerate its earth, water, and ecosystem in their honor. It's pretty simple. You can also go to a website. It's native-land.ca and find your area's original indigenous community, and then make that statement. So for example, at my Thanksgiving meal in the Lakeview area, the Lakeview East area of Chicago, I would say Anetya Doula Services is located on the traditional unceded homelands of the Anishinaabe, or the Council of the Three Fires, which is the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Other tribes include the Miami, the Ho-Chunk, the Menominee, and Sac and Fox. They all called this area home. I also think we should add that eating a bountiful meal is a part of the process. Sometimes we feel some guilt, some sorrow for people who can't afford to eat a bountiful meal. So part of our tradition can be donating to charity, getting the kids together, going to the grocery store, buying a bountiful meal, and then taking it to a food pantry, a soup kitchen, a place that might be serving those in need on Thanksgiving and throughout the year. That could be at a church, at a mosque, at a synagogue, or at another community organization. So eating a bountiful meal and acknowledging our privilege and donating to charity, so you're spreading that goodness around, can increase our good feelings, our warmth. It can increase sustained happiness, and it can also reduce some anxiety that we might feel around this holiday. But regardless, gathering with loved ones can be a part of it. It can be your family, but it doesn't have to be. It can be your close friends, partners, coworkers, neighbors. You can even gather people who don't have partners, families, or neighbors and host a meal for them. You can also go to places that are serving those in need. Sometimes the best thing we can do to boost our mood, increase our gratitude, and feel happy with life and everything more about it by going and losing ourselves in service of others. So that's an idea. Some people include prayers. Almost every meal I've ever been to around Thanksgiving encourages people to think about and share what they're giving thanks for. And then there are other countless rituals that are included. Some people like watching football games. Other people want to watch movies. They get together, maybe watching some classics like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or maybe they go to the movie theater and see something brand new. And then I used to love watching Thanksgiving. I think it's Happy Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown. That was one of my favorites with the kids. So what are some rituals that you might have that you include for Thanksgiving? I'll talk a little bit more about them, but if we don't cover something, I hope when I turn the recording off, you can share with us, those of you who are on this call. And if you're watching this video, I would love to see your suggestions in the comments for ways that you celebrate Thanksgiving that maybe I didn't go over. So expressing gratitude. Those of us who do this all the time need to remember it's not always easy. Sometimes it's really hard. And people need some helpful hints, some suggestions to make it just a little bit easier than it otherwise would be. So let's talk about some ways. One way to do it is to write a thank you note. That can take some of the pressure off because it gives you a minute to clear your head and think about all the ways that you're grateful for this person, for something they've done. And you don't have to say it in person. If that's a little scary, you can send a text or an email expressing why you're grateful and specifically how you benefited or what was meaningful to you about that. Think back again over this past year, or maybe longer, the past decade, your life, and think about the people who helped you along the way. One of the best ways we can show gratitude is helping others the way we were helped, right? And there's some benefit to that, obviously. But I think reaching out to the people who benefited you, who were there for you, who helped teach you something you didn't know, I think it's really great to write them a thank you note. First of all, you'll make their day. You'll make their year sometimes. This can be, high school teachers, counselors, high school friends who stood up for you, who showed up for you. What about college? Any professors or teachers there? Think about your career. If you've been blessed with a successful career, who helped you along the way? Who made things possible? Who took a chance on you? And have you thanked them? Believe me, one day this might weigh on you. So you take that weight off by writing a thank you letter now. And luckily, with the internet, we get to find lots of people we otherwise wouldn't years and years and years ago. So put that to good use. Get some thank you notes from the store. Sit down. Handwritten thank you notes are a gift people keep for years to come. Or you can send a text or an email if that makes more sense to you. Whatever works. No one's going to complain when they get a thank you text or a thank you email. Tell someone you appreciate them, not only for the big things, but the small things too. People don't realize that something they did that might have been small to them meant the world to you. So let them know. Be specific in your gratitude. Instead of only saying thank you, add thank you for, and then share exactly why you are grateful. Maybe somebody did something nice for you and you thanked them at the time, but now you can go back and say, this is what I did with that. This is how I used that gift you gave me. It can be a possession, but it can also be a favor, something intangible that someone gave you. How did you use it to make the world a better place, to make your life better? Did you pay it forward? How did that turn out? These are all ways that we express gratitude. If you are unsure of how to write this down in a way that's meaningful or makes sense, like you've got it in your head, but you're just not sure how to write it down, do you have a friend, a loved one, who's a good writer, who can express themselves pretty well? Ask them for this favor. Say, I know what you can get me for Hanukkah or Christmas. You can help me write some thank you notes. You can also contact me. I'm happy to help in any way, as a former columnist, as a current writer, regular writer. I have some tricks up my sleeve and I can help. But you don't need a death doula to do this. You can tap into friends, your own kind of talents, and there's lots of things online, services online that you can Google for free. I need help writing thank you notes. And you'd be surprised at the wealth of information that's out there. So don't feel like you're alone. You're not. And it really will not only help boost the people that you are thanking, it'll help boost your mood as well, especially around, when the weather is starting to get kind of cold and dreary. Not everybody looks forward to the holidays. It's sometimes a bummer. This can help us get through those cold nights. You'd be surprised how happy it can make people feel at end of life. It makes people even happier when they do that before, way before a diagnosis. Appreciate somebody else's wins, including small victories. Maybe go online if you have a Facebook account or an Instagram account. Go online and kind of look at your feed or check into the Facebook accounts or the Instagram accounts of different loved ones and see what they've been posting about, and just click like or love. You're spreading some love. You can even leave comments. I'm so glad this is happening for you. Good for you. You deserve it because you've done this, this, and this. And thank you for all the things that you've done. And I'm so glad you're having a good time with whatever you're doing. That can be a really easy way to express gratitude. And you can make that ritual a part of your weekly, monthly, online behavior. It kind of makes the internet a little bit nicer of a place, and it allows you to express gratitude more often than just once a year. You can also start a gratitude journal. Write down 3 things you are grateful for. You can do this as you start your day. When you first wake up, quick, what are 3 things you're grateful for? Well, write them down in your journal. And then before you go to bed at night, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And then write that down. These could be positive thoughts, emotions, or interactions you experienced. And it also, when you're looking back over the last year, it can help guide you when you're thinking about expressing gratitude to any of the people on your list, including yourself. I think it's helpful to thank ourselves sometimes. And you can do that in a variety of different ways. Prioritizing self-care allows you to remember how important you are in your own life. What are some things you've done that rock this past year? And how would you like to thank yourself? Would you like a spa day? Would you like to go out for a really long run or a really long bicycle ride? Would you like a day off to just sit in peace? Would you like to take a walk or maybe have a really nice fancy dinner someplace? There are all kinds of ways that you can thank yourself, but I think expressing self-gratitude is vital as well. And if you get stuck coming up with ideas, keeping a journal along the way is helpful to remind you of the things that you are grateful for, both for others and yourself. If you don't want to write, then you can just think about 3 things you're grateful for each day. It can be a part of your morning meditation. Before you get out of bed, you just take a deep breath and think to yourself, what am I thankful for today? And then you can do that same thing before you go to bed at night. There are also apps and online help that can prompt you with certain questions. If you get a little stuck and you're not quite certain what you could be thankful for, these apps and online guidance websites will help you with that. So again, don't hesitate to reach out to me for some ideas. But giving thanks at bedtime especially helps get your mind in kind of a peaceful state, ready for sleep. This is especially helpful if you have a hard time getting good sleep. If you can take 15, 20, or 30 minutes to just think peacefully about all the things you're grateful for, that can get you ready for a good night's sleep. And if 15, 20, or 30 minutes sounds like a lot, start with 5. Start with 3 minutes. Every little bit that you do gets easier and easier the more you do it. And then you can stretch it out for as long as you want, as long as you feel comfortable. But when you're thinking about things to give thanks for, it doesn't have to be something significant. Maybe it's that hot cup of coffee in the morning. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes, but you look forward to that cup of coffee and savoring it. And you're grateful for that. Some people don't get to drink a nice hot cup of coffee every morning. Perhaps it can be a sunny day. Especially this time of year, a sunny day is something to be thankful for. Or the beautiful foliage on your walkway or on your way to work or your way to run errands throughout the day. If you live in an area that has leaves all around, including on the ground, crunch them, really get into it and experience the joy of autumn, and how the leaves remind us that end of life can be full of color and joy and awe-inspiring gladness. So think about that as you're walking. Also, people can express their gratitude on Thanksgiving by choosing readings to read at the table before dinner starts. Doesn't have to be long, but there are some poets, some philosophers that have been tackling this issue, feeling the need to express gratitude for centuries. Perhaps there's one out there that's meaningful to you that you would like to share with your loved ones. Well, Thanksgiving is a great time to do that. You don't have to send it via text or email. You can actually share it in person. So maybe a reading, maybe a toast. You know, there are some great toasts out there. Or you can create one yourself. It can be with a glass of champagne or a glass of wine, but can also be with apple cider or any other drink that you choose for Thanksgiving. Again, some people find comfort in prayers, verses from the Torah or the Bible. Whatever works for you. Include it in your Thanksgiving celebration. And again, don't forget about self-care. It's so easy to forget to thank ourselves for doing the work, for getting through some tough times. And you deserve some time, some celebration for just you. Gratitude tree is something that a lot of my different clients and friends have done throughout the years. And so I wanted to share it here. So how do you create a gratitude tree? Well, if you want to be super crafty, you can there are ways to get, construction paper and, kind of leaf designs so that you can draw a leaf and you can cut all of them out. And then you supply that pile of paper leaves next to the tree, along with a variety of pens for loved ones to write whatever they're grateful for, and then hang the leaves anywhere they would like on the tree. Now, these trees can be made with, going to like Michael's or any kind of craft store. You can find kind of these little artificial twigs that you can put in a vase, and you can fill that vase with marbles or other little stones that keep those artificial twigs in place. But other people actually go outside. If you live in an area that has twigs on the ground without leaves on them, you can take those and bring those in, kind of trim them so that they look, kind of fashionable. And you can put them in rocks as well to keep them steady. Other times, people don't have to be so crafty. Maybe they just want a list of paper and have people write it, and then they put it in a bowl, or they put it, they attach it to these leaves, whatever works for you. The tree can be used as a Thanksgiving table centerpiece, like it is in this picture, or to decorate a sideboard or a coffee table or an end table in your home, whatever works. But giving people a pot, like, having, especially if you have a large group of loved ones coming over, this can give them something to do. It can be interesting talking points. You can ask them to write down what they're grateful for. It can be an activity, an event that happened. It can be just grateful for a particular person and the difference they made in someone's life. But it can also be read at the dinner table before Thanksgiving. So people don't feel on the spot. You've given them some time to think about the people in their lives, the things that have happened that they're grateful for. And then if they want to talk about it, they certainly can. And it can lead to some really fun conversations and a lot of joy at a table. This is especially helpful if there have been some challenging moments this past year. It helps people to remind themselves that they are happy for some things and allows them to focus on that with the people that they love. So why should we do this? Why should we express gratitude? What difference does it make? Well, there are so many studies that clearly show some tangible benefits around expressing gratitude. It does positively impact our mood and perspective. You know, there's this class that I took. I had heard about it for years. It was The Science of Happiness, and it's a class that Yale University puts out. It has been for years their most popular class. And so around the pandemic, they offered it for free to everybody, not just Yale students. So of course I jumped at the chance to take it. And it really talked about the science of happiness. What we think makes us happy is not really what does. And the science behind it, meaning there's data, there's studies that show conclusively that this is working, that this leads to sustained happiness. And gratitude is one of them. Any of the things we talked about, it doesn't have to be a fancy tree in the center of your Thanksgiving meal. It can be journaling every day. It can be just thinking every day. But expressing that gratitude that you feel inside you will positively impact your mood and perspective every single day. Doesn't have to be once a year. The data also shows that saying thank you reduces stress. It actually calms our fears and our anxieties. Tangible action changes how we feel. I use this example often because it's so true, and people can relate to it. So every morning when I wake up, I feel like I want to go back to bed. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like exercising. I feel like I want to be in bed with the covers over my head and asleep, where it's nice and warm. But I make myself get out of bed. I make myself go for a run or ride my bike or go to that yoga class or the gym. And then I feel glad that I did. Always. I always feel glad that I did. So that's an example of a concrete action changing how we feel. And expressing gratitude, saying thank you, calling that person, writing that thank you letter, however we choose to do it, changes our mood and improves it, helps us be more optimistic and hopeful about life. It also helps us build greater personal resilience. We forget sometimes that we can trust ourselves, that we are strong, that we have everything we need to get through whatever it is life puts in our way, especially with support, especially with love, especially with community. So when we express gratitude, we remember that. We're remembering what other people did for us, and we're remembering things we're happy and grateful for, but we also start to feel more grateful about ourselves, start to believe in ourselves a little bit more, and that's helpful. Studies show it leads to a stronger immune system. So you're actually making yourself physically healthier by expressing gratitude to others. You'll reduce the symptoms of depression when you express gratitude. And like I mentioned before, it improves sleep quality. So you might have a better night's sleep if you end every day thinking about 3 things you're grateful for. It has been shown, expressing gratitude has been shown to improve health, including fewer headaches, fewer gastrointestinal problems, and fewer respiratory infections. If you want to reduce burnout, take a break every day and think about the people and the things in your life that you're thankful for. And then tell them. It will strengthen personal and work relationships. Even if you don't think they need strengthening, it's a nice added bonus. And like I said, at end of life, thank you is one of those 5 essential statements. So if you struggle to say thank you, if you struggle to express gratitude, and you want to practice in order to get better at it, here's your opportunity. Because, like I mentioned, getting better at expressing gratitude not only leads to a better death someday, but it leads to a better life right now. So here are some of the sources for the information that I presented to you today. In case you want to do some more research. And also, I definitely want to include my contact information, because even if you don't have questions now, you may tonight, tomorrow, or into the future. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I answer text messages quicker than anything, but I will answer your phone calls, your DMs on social media, and I will answer your emails as well. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you need some support, expressing gratitude, just to get you started, I am always here to provide that support. It's important for you to know that you're not alone. There's lots of people who can help support you through this. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll get started whenever you're ready. But I hope everyone on this call and anybody watching this has a wonderful, grateful, healthy, and healing Thanksgiving holiday this year and every year. I'm going to turn the recording off so that the people on this call can share with me some of the rituals to make my presentations next time even better. So have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.